Hey, so let's talk about international business. I know. It sounds like something you'd only hear about in a boardroom or an economics class, right? But what if I told you it's actually all around you, shaping your life from the very moment you wake up?
Yeah, instead of kicking things off with some dry textbook definition, let's just take a quick peek at your morning routine. You're probably way more connected to the global economy than you think.
Okay, first things first, your smartphone. The one you probably checked before your feet even hit the floor. Well, it might have been designed in California using a screen from South Korea and a processor from Taiwan with the whole thing put together in China. It's literally a world in your pocket before you've even had breakfast.
Or how about that first cup of coffee, that absolute lifesaver? Chances are those beans were grown on a small farm thousands of miles away, maybe in Colombia or Ethiopia or Vietnam, and then they were roasted, packaged, and shipped across an entire ocean just to land in your favorite mug.
And hey, even that t-shirt you're wearing? It's basically got its own passport. The cotton could be from India, woven into fabric in Turkey, stitched together in Bangladesh, and then finally sold in a store just down the road from you. Pretty wild, right?
So when you look at all this stuff, these everyday items, you have to ask, how local are they really? They feel like they're a part of our daily lives here, but in reality, they're the final stop on these incredibly complex global journeys. And that hidden network of connections, that is international business.
To really get a handle on all this, we're going to build this whole explainer around two fundamental questions. These are going to be our guideposts.
First up, what even is international business? It seems so simple on the surface, but you'll see the definition is actually way broader and honestly more interesting than you might think.
And then the crucial follow-up. How is it different from just regular domestic business? This is where we really get into the weeds of the unique challenges, the risks, and of course, the massive opportunities that pop up the second you decide to operate across the border.
All right, let's dive headfirst into that first question. We're going to pull this term apart and see what it's really made of. So, at its very core, the definition is beautifully simple. International business is just any commercial activity that crosses a national border. That's it. It's the flow of stuff, goods, money, ideas, even people, from one country to another, all for a business purpose.
Now, when we hear the word business, our minds usually jump straight to massive, giant corporations. But for this, you got to think a little differently. The definition here is so much more inclusive.
I mean, think about it. It could be a single artist on Etsy who ships a handmade mug to someone in another country. Boom. International business. It could be a freelance developer coding for a client on the other side of the planet. Even a YouTuber who's earning ad revenue from viewers all over the world. Yep, they're technically in international business. The scale can be anything from one person to 1 million people.
Okay, so that leads us perfectly into our second big question. What actually makes doing business across borders so different from just staying put in your home country?
Just look at the contrast here. A domestic business is, relatively straightforward. You've got one currency, one set of laws, and pretty much a shared culture. But the second you go international, whoa, the complexity just explodes. All of a sudden, you're juggling multiple currencies, trying to navigate completely different legal systems, a huge variety of cultures, and some truly mind-boggling logistics.
And just to put a little perspective on one of those points, there are over 180 official currencies in the world. Can you imagine the financial headache of dealing with fluctuating exchange rates for just a handful of them, let alone dozens? It's a whole different level of difficult.
So here's the real takeaway, the most crucial point. International business is not just domestic business played out on a bigger map. It is a fundamentally different game with new rules, new players, and new risks. The strategies that make you a star at home can completely backfire abroad if you don't adapt.
So, we've defined it, and we get what makes it so unique. Now let's look to the future for a second. Because in the world we live in today, this super hyper-connected world, that line between what's domestic and what's international is getting seriously blurry.
I mean, think about it. A new app can launch and have users in 100 different countries overnight. An online store can get its very first order from someone halfway around the world. These businesses are what we call born global. They're international from day one, and sometimes they didn't even plan for it to happen.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. As technology keeps making our world smaller and more connected, are we heading toward a future where we stop saying international business and we just call it business? A future where thinking globally isn't just an option, but the only way to operate?